Welcome to Laney on Literature, where we explore some of the lesser known classics, some that you might have forgotten. Today, we're going to read the tale of Grandpa's SUV. Grandpa was getting on in years. In his earlier days, he had wanted a big SUV, but somehow that had never happened for him. People close to Grandpa decided time was running short and he deserved to get that dream. As they worked to make it happen, they became increasingly excited at the prospect of riding around with Grandpa in that imposing and prestigious vehicle. So caught up were they in the thrill, they ignored the fact that Grandpa himself didn't seem to care all that much about it anymore. The big day came. They handed Grandpa the keys and everyone piled on board the SUV and they headed out on the big adventure. The ride was indeed exhilarating, and in spite of Grandpa's peculiar driving style, everyone on board was glad they had been part of putting Grandpa in that position. But it soon became hard to ignore that they were hitting a startling number of pedestrians. It would seem like the responsible thing to do would be to take the keys away from Grandpa, or at least say something, but that didn't happen. Instead, the people on board blamed the mishaps on the pedestrian themselves, the previous driver of the SUV, and even the people who designed and built the sidewalks they were driving on. They might have just been being supportive of the old man, but it gradually became clear they had other motives. No one was willing to admit that it had been a terrible mistake to give Grandpa the keys. People outside, frantically fleeing and trying to wave down the unrestrained menace, wondered what kind of cost to humanity it would take for someone to acknowledge that this whole idea had been a terrible mistake. As the destruction mounted, those safely on board amplified their encouraging cries, proclaiming what a great job Grandpa was doing. The more ruin that occurred, the worse it would be to admit that they had been complicit in the disaster. They were so caught up in finding people to blame and feigning enthusiasm for Grandpa's driving that they were as oblivious as Grandpa to the train hurtling toward them on a collision course. The moral of this story is, if you lack the courage to speak up when you've made a mistake, you should be very careful of who you get on board with. Thank you for listening to Laney on Literature, and please do join us again next time.